What is a scientific fact that absolutely blows your mind?
There are actually blood vessels obstructing light from reaching certain areas in your eye, effectively creating a shadow. Your brain filters this out and essentially fills in the gaps so you don't actually see this spiderweb-like network of black lines. However, you can visualize them by shining a light at a diagonal into your eye, not directly, and gently wiggling it about. This means your brain doesn't have enough time to filter it out and you see this spiderweb-like network of blood vessels. Technical instructions to clarify the actions involved. I find it easier to see this effect in a dark environment, so the contrast of the black shadow against the light is higher. You want to be staring straight ahead and shining the light into your pupil at a 45-degree angle from the side directed at your nose at about 10 to 20 centimeters away from them. Phone light will do great, and have it on the dimmest setting if possible. Then wiggle the light in gentle 1 centimeter movements side to side. Keep this up for about a second at least and you should see them. Hope this clears it up a bit. Here's a diagram of how to flash the light into your eyes. Blink.
There are some Ice Age animals that are so perfectly preserved in permafrost that scientists have been able to find them still with all their soft tissue, hair, and organs. They even found a couple mammoths that still had liquid blood in them, and I remember one scientist even tasting the mammoth meat. Also, there was a mummy found in China that was so well preserved that she still had all her skin, hair, organs, etc. Her body was even flexible that you could bend her limbs as if she was alive. They even found her last meal still in her stomach and could perform an autopsy on her to tell you why she died. She died over 2,000 years before she was found.
As I recall, the mammoth meat tasted bad. But then, I guess extreme freezer burn will do that.
All matter literally gives off light, but we can only see a sliver of that spectrum, although we do have tools to help us see other spectrums. Our bodies give off infrared, and are basically glowing in that portion of the spectrum similar to how iron glows to our normal vision when it's heated. Something that sees a different spectrum than us might not see hot iron as glowing at the same temperatures we see iron glow at.
Caterpillars basically dissolve into liquid in the cocoon. The only thing left are the so-called imaginal discs, groups of cells that contain all the information and the mechanism to turn that soup into the various body parts of a butterfly. The same applies for other insects.
And apparently they retain memories through this process. Studies have been done.
Wow, you're right. A search turned up this link.
T-Rex lived 66 million-ish years ago. Stegosaurus lived 155 million-ish years ago. The gap between Rex and Stego is 16 million-ish greater than between Rex and present day.
If you put one of every animal in a bag and then pick one out, you have a 1/5 chance in picking a beetle.
And 1/2 chance of picking an insect of any kind. To put it another way, half of all animal species are insects, and 40% of those are beetles. If one could conclude as to the nature of the Creator from a study of creation, it would appear that God has an inordinate fondness for stars and beetles. Evolutionary biologist J.B.S. Haldane.
Slime molds don't have brains or nervous systems but somehow retain information and use it to make decisions. Even more crazy is that they can fuse with another individual and share the information.
I'm not a biologist and this is from memory, but what I remember is fascinating. They rely on nutrient gradients to replace neurons. Internally they contain tubes that grow larger based on the amount of nutrient they transport. So more food equals larger paths equals they expand more in that direction. That's how they can solve mazes. They expand in all directions, but once one bit touches the food, that pathway gets reinforced, just like neural pathways, and the rest of the organism flows there.
Dinosaurs lived on the other side of the galaxy from where we are now.
Milky Way local with the galactic history.
There are 8 times as many atoms in a teaspoonful of water as there are teaspoonfuls of water in the Atlantic Ocean.
This makes the deck of cards one even more crazy.
Approximately 99.85% of all the mass in the solar system is concentrated in the Sun.
The mass in our solar system is contained within the Sun, Jupiter, and a rounding error.
If 2 pieces of the same type of metal touch in space, they will bond and be permanently stuck together. Space welding, cold welding.
It makes sense when you understand why it happens. I forgot most stuff including my name, but it has to do with free space in metal atoms that allow them to bond with each other. It does not happen normally on Earth because all sorts of other atoms get in the way.
Voyager 1 has been traveling greater than 30,000 miles per hour for 43 years and it's only 20 light hours away.
and the closest star is about 4.3 light-year away, so it would only take 80,000 years.
I recently read about the split brain experiments. There is a procedure for severe epilepsy that involves cutting the connecting nerves of the two brain hemispheres, resulting in the two hemispheres being unable to communicate with each other. The experiment shows that both halves can answer questions independently of each other, have separate opinions, preferences, form memories independently. Basically suggesting that there are two minds in the brain. That just blows my minds. Edit typos.
I remember seeing videos about this in high school biology. Not only what you have said, but also since each hemisphere has different tasks and you cut their connection, a lot of things become different. For example, if they cover your eyes and give you an object you are familiar with, you are not able to identify it only by touch, because there is no communication between the two hemispheres. You have to see the object to be able to fully identify it. Scary poo.
The size of animals still blows my mind. You can read about how a manta ray is 23 feet long and 3 tons, but it doesn't really hit you until you realize that's heavier than most cars.
So I live in Hawaii and I'm going night snorkeling with manta rays on my honeymoon in a couple of weeks. I can't wait. Also, it's whale season now, so the humpback are here. And I mean, you know, whales are massive, but they are mind-bogglingly massive in person. It's a whole nother thing seeing an animal the length 2 buses and weighing in at 30 tons launch itself completely out of the water as an awe-inspiring display or power.
Without the development of genuinely sci-fi travel technology like wormholes or hyperspace, which may not even be possible, 99.99%+ of the universe will be forever locked off from us. Because of cosmic expansion, the various galactic clusters are moving away from our local cluster faster than we could ever catch up to them.
Without these sci-fi drives, 99% of our galaxy will be forever locked off, let alone other galaxies, galactic clusters.
How much empty space there is in atoms. Like how the F I'm a solid object, I'll never understand.
It's like fishnets, you cannot pass but small stuff can, like straws etc. Now apply that scale to the extreme, from microscopic to human to planetary.
You can fit all the planets, Pluto included, between the Earth and Moon.
Yes, but please don't.
Sharks are older than trees. Also, trees almost killed all land life on Earth as there used to be nothing that could decompose them, so dead trees covered the ground and killed all other vegetation. Only once fungus evolved did trees start decomposing. Edit, well, this comment effing exploded. This was really an off-the-cuff comment based off something I heard years ago, so I figured I'd correct my mistakes and add more detail. The period in which this occurred was known as the Carboniferous period. Fungus had evolved long before this, around 600 million years before, but it had not evolved the ability to decompose trees due to them evolving during this period. These first trees were actually more closely related to ferns and reproduced via spores rather than seeds. Also, these trees would not have killed all land life, sorry to disappoint, due to wildfires clearing out the dead trees. That said, the lack of decomposing fungi, which use up oxygen in the decomposition process, and the extremely high number of photosynthesizing plants lead to very high oxygen levels during this period. As high as 15% higher than modern levels. This allowed the insects of the time to grow to massive sizes. Insects have a fairly inefficient respiratory system, so without high oxygen levels it's difficult for them to grow to large sizes. Now you might be asking how large. Well, dragonflies were the size of hawks, spiders were the size of house cats, and millipedes were as long as 8 feet. Truly a fascinating point in our planet's history.
This is why petrified wood exists. Minerals and elements are sucked up by the wood, replacing the organic fibers over time.
If the distance between Earth and the Sun were the thickness of a dime, the next closest star would be 10 miles away.
European here, can you convert that to baguettes?
The strongest known acid is called fluoroantimonic acid, and it is made by combining a solution of 2 different ions in various quantities. Without going too crazy into the scientific details, the part that blows my mind is that at certain ratios of the 2 ingredients you can get an acid that is 1 quadrillion times stronger than 100% pure sulfuric acid. At acidity levels like this, pH fails to even be a useful metric, as the pH of any solution would certainly be less than 0. Additionally, it is so acidic that it can force carbon atoms to have 5 bonds instead of 4, breaking one of the fundamental principles of organic chemistry.
When the pyramids were built, there were still some woolly mammoths roaming the earth.
A million seconds is 12 days. A billion seconds is 31 years. A trillion seconds is 31,688 years.
I used to ask random people I worked with to guess how long it would take to count to 1 trillion if you counted 24 hours a day without ever sleeping. The longest time someone guessed was 2 months. Most people guessed either days or weeks.
The moon is just large enough, and just far enough away from Earth, to be able to create full eclipses.
When you dream, one portion of your brain creates the story, while another part witnesses the events and is really shocked by the plot twists.
Self-entertainment, I like it. Edit. Why are so many people replying, Picasso, someone explain me PLZZLMAO.
The WOW signal came from a planet, bit in space 17,000 light-years away. It emitted a signal 30x stronger than anything we can make today. It lasted for an entire 71 seconds, was on 1444 Hz, frequency of hydrogen, most abundant thing in the universe, and we couldn't find the signal again after pointing to the same spot. Edit. Wasn't a galaxy it came from.
A short burst that never repeats sounds like an error or something big went boom.
Everything that someone has put forward to try and solve it, has been strongly countered by other scientific evidence.
Tumors can grow teeth and eyes.
AKA my mother-in-law.
The astronauts on the ISS aren't floating around because of lack of gravity, far from it. They are in constant free fall, falling over the horizon of Earth. Being pulled by gravity towards the Earth.
If some sort of super-advanced alien species on a planet 80 million light-years away from Earth built a high-tech telescope that let them see objects on the Earth's surface, they would be seeing dinosaurs right now.
Maybe that's why they haven't visited. They saw the dinosaurs and were like, F that planet, we are never going there.
All of life can be tracked back to a, or several depending on who you ask, continuous billion-plus-year chemical reaction.
If you as a person do not have children, you break a billions-of-year-long lineage that goes back to the beginning of life itself.
The time period in which dinosaurs lived is so vast. There were dinosaur fossils when dinosaurs were still alive. Edit. A lot of people are rightly pointing out that there are currently human fossils around too. I admit that I thought that the fossilization process took a lot longer. I'm still blown away by the scale of time though.
The total span of the age of dinosaurs, from the beginning of the Triassic to the end of the Cretaceous, was nearly 3 times longer than the time from the end of the Cretaceous to now.
Some forms of anesthesia don't numb you to pain, they make you forget that you felt it.
I'm so glad you asked. I have a list. If all the DNA in the average person was stretched out in a single line, it could reach from Earth to the Sun and back ** 248 times. Despite the wildly varying sizes of mammals, sloths and manatees are the only ones who don't have exactly 7 cervical vertebrae. Hippos sweat sunscreen, and it's red. If the entirety of the Earth's history were compressed down to a single day, humans of any sort wouldn't appear until the last second before midnight. If the lifespan of the universe was equated to a human life, the entire time that stars will actually be burning is equivalent to the first day after birth. And finally, my personal favorite, there are about * 4 times as many unique ways to shuffle a standard deck of playing cards as there are atoms in the Milky Way. I have lots more fun facts, but these are the ones that I would describe most readily as mind-blowing. Edit. This video, link. And since people asked, here are some more fun facts. About 20% of the annual GDP for the tiny island nation of Tuvalu comes from licensing out their international internet code, TV. Reindeer eyes, normally brown, turn bright blue in winter to see in low light conditions. A man stole the 2016 Rio Olympic torch from the relay based on a Facebook dare. Frivol, paradigm, pharaoh, and coccyx are the only words in the English language with unique 3-letter endings. Giraffe necks are actually too short to reach the ground, so they have to splay their legs in order to drink water. Because of their kilts and ferocious attitude, the Scots fighting in World War II were given the nickname, Ladies from Hell, by the Germans. UPS drivers are only supposed to make right-hand turns, no lefts. I'm a history guy, so a lot of my fun facts are more fun historical anecdotes which don't fit here, but feel free to message me for those as well.
Fat cells do not burn or disappear. They just shrink.
Tell that to the crematorium.
Thank you for watching. We upload new videos every day, so be sure to come back for more fun. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoyed the video.